In the sun-drenched cradle of a valley, where the green hills rose like the shoulders of sleeping giants, lay a humble village. There, in a small, weathered hut, lived a girl named Halima. She was an orphan, possessed of little more than the roof over her head, a gentle cow she called Warda, the rose, and a spirit so clear and pure it mirrored the fresh milk she sold each day. When her parents passed, they left her only Warda, who became not just her livelihood but her silent confidant. The cow was her whole world, the rhythm of Halima's lonely life. Each dawn, Halima would complete her milking, pour the pearly white liquid into a large, familiar clay pot, balance it deftly on her head, and walk the dusty path to the village market. Her honest nature and the untainted quality of her milk were her only reputation. Yet, her sustenance was always uncertain. What little she earned was carefully divided, a portion for Warda's feed, a fraction for her own meager bread, and the necessary sum for the pasture rent. The owner of that vital grazing land was a man named Barakat. Irony was heavy in his name, which meant blessing, for his heart knew no such quality. Hard as river stone, he viewed Halima not as a tenant to be supported, but as an easily exploited vessel of coin. Despite this grinding poverty, Halima possessed a habit she deemed sacred. She held an unwavering belief that showing mercy to the vulnerable would, in turn, summon the mercy of the Almighty. After her day's selling was done and the pot was nearly empty, she would deliberately leave a tiny pool of milk behind. This she poured into a chipped dish and set it in a shaded alley for the hungry, unnoticed street cats. The simple joy of watching those weak creatures silently quench their thirst from her final provision brought her more happiness than any meal. Halima's quiet struggle took a devastating turn one harsh morning. Barakat, his shadow long and menacing, accosted her near her hut. His voice was cold, carrying the weight of an ultimatum. "Hear me, Halima," he sneered. "I have decided to double the pasture rent, effective this week. If you fail to deliver the new amount by Friday, I will claim your cow as payment for the overdue balance, and you will vacate that ramshackle hut." His words struck her like a physical blow, a bolt of thunder on a clear day. How could she possibly conjure such a sum in a few short days? Her current earnings barely covered the old demand. She felt the sudden, terrifying instability of her world. Losing Warda meant losing everything: her friend, her work, her future. That day, she walked to the market with a pallor on her face and a profound sorrow in her eyes, her heart weighted with the certainty of her loss. As she sat in her usual place, staring blankly at the pot, a presence unlike any she had ever encountered approached. It was a cat, but no ordinary scrawny creature of the alley. This animal possessed a coat of sleek, midnight black, like liquid silk, and its eyes were two blazing emeralds. It moved with a silent, regal grace, stepping through the dust like a queen from a faraway realm. The cat halted before Halima, its gaze moving from the pot of precious milk up to her troubled face, seeming to hold a deep, ancient understanding of her sadness. Every ounce of sense told Halima she needed the price of every single drop in that pot, yet her innate kindness overruled desperation. She whispered to herself, "Perhaps the Creator will have mercy on me because of my mercy for this creature, weak though it may appear." She reached for her small dish, poured a generous measure of milk into it, and presented it. The black cat drank with unhurried dignity, its tail twitching once. It then lifted its head, gave Halima one final look, a look that felt like a powerful, silent acknowledgement, and was gone, melting instantly into the shadowy recesses of the market alleys. The days crawled by, suffocated by worry, and Halima failed to gather the required amount. Friday arrived, brutal and inevitable. Tears tracked paths through the dust on her cheeks as she performed the morning milking, knowing with a crushing finality that this was Warda's last yield for her. She shouldered the pot, her heart heavy with the sense of eternal farewell. But waiting on her doorstep, serene and poised, was the mysterious black cat. It looked at her, let out a soft, questioning meow, and waited. Halima, overcome with sorrow, managed a sad smile. "You, too, ask for your share on my last day, little friend? Very well. The provision of God is not reserved for anyone." She poured the milk into the accustomed dish. As the cat drank and Halima turned her face to wipe away a stray tear, a soft, metallic chime sounded, a subtle clink against the clay. She looked down at the emptied dish and froze, her eyes widening in profound disbelief. Resting in the bottom was a brilliant, shining golden coin, reflecting the nascent sunlight. It was a gold dinar, a coin she had only heard tales of, worth 10 times the ransom Barakat demanded. Halima's hand trembled as she picked up the miraculous piece, warm with morning light. She searched for the cat, but it had vanished as before. No dream, it was a tangible promise. She rushed back inside, secured the coin beneath a stone in her hearth, and returned to the market, carrying an empty pot and a heart that sang with impossible joy. She had sold nothing, yet she was suddenly the richest soul alive. When Barakat arrived that evening to execute his cruel eviction, he found a Halima fortified by certainty. "The money, Halima? Did your cow dry up today?" he mocked. Halima calmly drew the gold dinar from her pocket and placed it squarely in his palm. Barakat's eyes, driven by avarice, swelled at the sight of the shining gold. His tone instantly changed. "Where did you come by this? Did you steal it?" he stammered. "God provided it to me," she replied, her voice steady. "This settles the rent for a full month, in advance. Trouble me no more." Barakat shuffled away, muttering in confused shock, the heavy gold coin feeling strangely hot in his hand. From that day forward, the miracle became a blessed routine. The black cat would appear, receive its dish of fresh milk, drink with elegance, and leave behind a shining gold dinar. Halima's life steadily transformed. She repaired her home, bought warmer clothes, and ensured Warda had the finest feed. Most importantly, she magnified her generosity, increasing her giving to the poor and even buying milk from poorer neighbors at a higher price to aid their survival. She soon became known throughout the valley as Halima the Generous. This abundant, unexplained blessing did not escape the notice of Barakat. Watching Halima's swift transformation from destitution to quiet prosperity, suspicion and feverish curiosity began to consume his cruel heart. He knew there was a secret source, and he grew convinced it should belong to him. One day, before the sun had crested the hills, Barakat crept to Halima's hut and hid behind a stack of hay. He witnessed the unbelievable. The elegant black cat approached, Halima offered the milk, and as she briefly turned, the cat deposited the shining object before silently disappearing. Barakat scrambled from his hiding spot and found the warm, freshly deposited dinar. The truth ignited a blinding fire of greed within him. A magical cat that lays gold. He thought wildly. A simpleton like her doesn't deserve this fortune. I, Barakat, the man of the land, deserve it all. The following day, he executed his wicked plan. Armed with a thick net, he waited. As the cat moved toward Halima's door, Barakat lunged, ensnaring the cat in the coarse fabric. The creature fought, scratching him with razor claws, but Barakat held tight, stuffing it into a sack and racing back to his isolated house. He locked the doors and windows. Pulling the cat out, he presented it with the biggest platter he owned, filled with the highest quality milk he had purchased. "Drink, beautiful cat," he wheezed, his voice trembling with anticipation. "Drink, and fill this pot with my gold." The cat regarded him with its emerald eyes, but this time, the look was cold, sharp, and utterly devoid of warmth. It did not touch the milk. It merely retreated to the corner, watching him in silent, defiant contempt. Barakat waited for hours. His patience frayed, turning into frustrated fury. "Drink, you cursed thing. Hurry up." The cat remained still. In a rage, he locked it in the room, vowing, "I will leave you here until you obey me or die of hunger and thirst." Meanwhile, Halima had waited anxiously. Her mysterious friend did not appear. A cold fear gripped her heart, heavier than the worry of lost gold. She knew something terrible had befallen her companion. 3 sleepless days passed for Halima. She kept the dish of fresh milk ready, but the cat did not return. On the 3rd day, she collapsed near her doorstep, weeping bitterly, not for the vanished income, but for her friend. As she wept, the colony of street cats she had consistently fed gathered around her. An old, one-eyed tomcat rubbed against her dress, let out a purposeful meow, and then walked a few steps away, glancing back as if commanding her to follow. Halima, instantly understanding the signal, rose and followed the trail, guided by the procession of hungry creatures, until they led her to Barakat's locked house. Inside, Barakat had finally snapped. The cat had not eaten or drunk, holding its gaze, which now seemed to burn with a steady, cold flame. "Give me the gold now, or I swear, I will end this," he shrieked, seizing a thick, heavy stick. At that moment, the cat moved. It rose quietly, walked to the platter of now sour milk, and took a single, deliberate gulp. Barakat gasped, his face illuminated by ravenous hope. Finally, the gold. But the cat did not deposit a coin. Instead, it spat a small, dark piece of coal onto the floor. Barakat, confused and enraged, rushed to strike it. The cat took another gulp and spat out a second, larger piece of coal. With every swallow of the undeserved milk, the cat expelled coal, and as the black pieces struck the floor, the opulent furniture in Barakat's home cracked and crumbled into dust. The gold he had selfishly hoarded in his chests instantly calcified into useless, black stones. His dark, consuming greed was made manifest, devouring everything he owned. Outside, Halima heard the crash of shattering objects and Barakat's maniacal screams. Driven by fear for her friend, she threw her entire weight against the old wooden door, bursting it open. She saw the ruin. Barakat stood amidst the wreckage of his beautiful home, now a hellscape of ashes and cracking walls, facing the black cat. As soon as the cat saw Halima, it ran to her and leaped onto her shoulder, purring softly. The destruction ceased. Barakat, staring at Halima, understood his fate. He fell to his knees in the dust, weeping, his despair not for his lost wealth, but for the soul his greed had murdered. Halima left the decimated house, the cat resting safely on her shoulder. Back in her hut, she offered it a dish of fresh milk. The cat drank, but this time, there was no gold. Instead, it looked at her, and a soft, clear human voice issued from its small form. "Do not grieve, kind Halima. I was never a mere cat. I am the guardian of the blessing, dispatched by the heavens to gauge the hearts of this village. In your heart, I found a boundless treasure of mercy and contentment, and thus you were worthy of grace. In his, I found only a bottomless well of greed, and so his punishment was perfectly tailored to his deed." Halima listened in breathless awe. "The gold was never from me," the cat continued. "It was a simple reflection of your own soul's purity. My task is complete. But I will not depart without ensuring the reward for your patience and generosity is unending." The cat jumped from the ground and transformed, dissolving into a blinding ray of emerald green light that shot out the window and toward Warda's barn. Halima ran to the barn and found her cow standing placidly, but the milk dripping from her udder was no longer white. It shone with a faint, luminous, golden shimmer. From that day on, Halima's cow gave the golden milk, an unbroken and blessed provision. Halima lived the rest of her life in genuine prosperity, yet she never forgot her meager beginnings. Her hand remained perpetually outstretched in charity to the poor and needy. Barakat lived out his days as an impoverished outcast, a vivid, painful reminder to all who saw him that while greed might grant a bright, momentary beginning, it inevitably leads to the darkest of ends.